When somebody steps in front of the camera and they have a lack of confidence and they can't articulate what they believe, it's not because they're not smart, they don't understand or know what to say. It's because they have something called the fight or flight response. And that means that their brain stops working. The opposite of the fight or flight response is the relaxation response. And when you help people learn to relax and experience joy, experience positivity, you see a transformation immediately in their demeanor, in their face, and their ability to create original thought from their mind. I'm Tony Martinez. My background is that I've been a broadcaster for many years. I started out as a sportscaster in Phoenix, Arizona, with a desire to one day come to Dallas and cover my Dallas Cowboys, and did that when I was 26. Was a sportscaster here at the ABC affiliate WFAA for many years, went on to Washington, D.C., worked for ABC there as a sportscaster, and worked at ABC News in New York City as a fill-in guy there for Good Morning America, and then went to ESPN, where I produced documentaries for the network, the Sports Century documentaries, 50 of the greatest athletes of the 20th century, and was really fortunate to have an incredible team around me. We won 3 national Emmys and a Peabody Award for my documentary on Jim Thorpe, which was ESPN's first Peabody. That was in 1998. They had a nationwide search for producers, and I became one of the 5 producers of that series. So I produced 7 or 8 of those episodes of the 50 greatest, and it was so rewarding to have the kind of time to really spend producing great documentaries. One of them was on Mickey Mantle, who lived just about half a mile from here. I just went by his home a short time ago today, and was thinking about Mickey Mantle and what a great story his was to tell. And it was such a great experience, because what I learned from that is no matter how good of a storyteller you are, there's nothing more important than the research and the work you do before you get in front of the camera. 80% of failure that happens in any production or in any activity is caused because of lack of preparation and focus and research before the project. So we learned really early on there that you just can't get in front of the camera and talk. You have to be prepared and know exactly where you want to go. I'm a leader of joy because there's nothing more satisfying than helping people improve, right? And a true leader is only so because he makes everybody else around him better, right? I really believe that's what leadership is, that you make the people around you better and you don't take any of the credit for their success. And I believe that I lead because I help people to become better in front of the camera and to find their success. And you do that by empowering them and helping them to realize their own potential. I think a lot of people have the power to be great, but nobody is helping them to understand how important the mental part of it is. And I think that there's specific things you do to help people be great, but it's a big mental game more than anything else, I believe. One of the things about improvement, especially on this kind of venue, is that the improvement is almost immediate. When somebody steps in front of the camera and they have a lack of confidence and they can't articulate what they believe, it's not because they're not smart, they don't understand or know what to say. It's because they have something called the fight or flight response. And that means that their brain stops working. The opposite of the fight or flight response is the relaxation response. And when you help people learn to relax and experience joy, experience positivity, you see a transformation immediately in their demeanor, in their face, and their ability to create original thought from their mind. Wow. I was just remembering, I get my greatest joy from music. I love music. I'm not a musician, but I love music. And I was just remembering now when I was 6 years old, in first grade, my mom had just won a console stereophonic record player, I guess you called it back in the day, a stereo, at the Catholic Bazaar in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where I grew up. And I remember that my mom and dad and my brothers and sisters went to school because they were older, and I was the one that stayed at home. My sister had just bought the album Meet the Beatles, And I remember putting that album on that brand new stereo and hearing that music for the first time. Oh my gosh, the joy of that moment lives with me to this day. I remember jumping across the couches in my living room as a first grader, listening to those Beatles songs at full volume, alone in the house, and thinking there's no greater joy in my life than this moment, hearing those songs. And when I hear those old Beatles songs now, I still have those same goosebump moments of extreme joy, because I just think that music is just life-changing. Well, I hadn't thought about that moment for a long time, but every time I hear and I listen to the Beatles, I do think back about how they entered my life that night on the Ed Sullivan Show, and then receiving that first disc and putting it in and listening to those songs. And it is an almost spiritual experience for those people who love music the way that I do. When you hear the songs, the music itself, the lyrics, and the way they come together, it's magical. It's something that really puts you in a joyful experience that you can simply not replicate anywhere else. Music does that for me. I think one of my fine moments in my career came when I was just a few miles from here at Tony Romo's home, and coaching him for the first time. It was in a very, I would say, challenging experience. I had no idea what to expect, because Tony, of course, had been a player with the Cowboys who I really respected and admired. And you want to make sure when you get someone like that, that you work with somebody at that level, that you can have an immediate impact on him. And we sat down with Tony before he'd ever been in a broadcast studio. I showed him examples of all the broadcasters out there who he was going to try to be one day. And he looked at me and said, "I can do this. What's the secret?" And I said, "The secret is being authentic. It is your personality shining through and not trying to be like any of these other people you're watching, to use them as examples, but to be the best version of Tony Romo you can be." And that's what he's become. And to see that smile in his eye and that sense of confidence he had from the very first time he watched those icons of broadcasting, including guys like Don Meredith, that were also had the same kind of charisma and personality that Tony has. It was a great thing to watch, a great thing to experience, and really one of the highlights of my career to be a part of that. I think the one word that comes together when you see Tony Romo perform and you hear the Beatles music is the word joy. Because joy is, in my opinion, the embodiment of love, right? It is the ultimate expression of love. And when people love what they do the way Tony Romo does, the way the Beatles did when they made those great songs, it's love at its purest. It is pure joy. When I coach CEOs on a daily basis now, I tell them that it's so important for them to get out of their offices and into their staffs with real intention, because there's so many people that need the reaffirmation that what they're doing is correct, that they're on the right track. And I have talked to a CEO recently who told me, the minute I became president of this company, I stopped knowing what's going on in my company, because nobody wants to tell the CEO what's actually happening. So you have to take it upon yourself to get out there, engage with the people who work for you, the people that work with you, the people that are on the same journey with you, and help them find that confidence, that sense of purpose and meaning in their lives, so that everybody can share in that, because everybody has that potential to find that joy and to be that person that can transform an organization. But it starts one person at a time. Why not start it with the CEO at the top to say, I need to get out there and meet my staff, know them, because I don't want to be the last person to know what's going on in my company. I don't think I've ever had a shift, a moment where I didn't have joy and then I did. I have led a fairly gilded life because I'm just a positive person, right? And so I'm not saying everything that's happened to me that has been perfect, but I do know that nobody gets anywhere in life without a really positive attitude. You have to be able to see the positive, and you have to be able to find that joy and then express it back to people by helping them find their joy. And that's what I try to do now, is to try to find what is it that somebody needs to be able to find that confidence to bring joy in their lives and to bring joy in their performance or in the work that they do every day. Whether I'm working with reporters, CEOs, business people, it is about that moment of what does it take? What does it take to get you to experience the joy the way that can make you the very best that you can be? I have a chair of joy that I take everywhere I go. I showed it to you. It's my camping chair. I love to go out to the mountains and camp. In fact, I'm going to New Mexico to Red River here in a couple weeks. It's going to be cold. There may be no snow, but I'm going to have my chair of joy there to set out and just look over those mountains and just thank God for all that He's given me. Because every day I'm just so grateful for the life that I've had. You know, I grew up in an environment where, as a Hispanic, people didn't necessarily give credit to diversity 40, 50 years ago the way they do today. And so because of that, I did grow up with a little bit of a fear of, can I be successful? Can I do what others have done? And so to be able to have done that and to achieve success, I say it just goes to show you that if you persevere, if you have joy, but you also put the work in, you can get there too. And that's my message when I talk to, especially to young broadcasters. When you sit in this chair, there is a sense of confidence that emanates right from this beautiful space we're in, right? It's very comfortable, but yet it's very elegant and beautiful at the same time. So I find the chair of joy to be something that everybody should experience, because it's just really a metaphor for confidence, for success, for happiness, and for the joy that we all seek in our lives. 2020 has been a year that we're never going to forget. All of us have our stories about how we've survived, how we have thrived, and all the great things we've been able to do this year. When I look back at this year, I think of the opportunity it's given us to reconnect with our families. I was able to actually build a miniature train set that I've been trying to do for 10 years and finally had the time to do it recently. So as you look forward to 2021 and trying to think about how you can bring joy into the lives of others and yourself, think of what Cheryl Lynn is doing right now. This joy movement is something that's going to explode next year, and you need to be a part of it. So get connected, get joyful, and participate with us. It's going to be an absolute great journey, and we'd love to have you a part of it in 2021.